swing on to the backstretch, and Aloha Kitten fighting on, leads it by a head to She's Devoted in second. Two more back to Miss Costa Rica and Gleska Gal. Then comes Ultimate High in mid-pack fifth, 5 lengths off the lead. Fearless Girl is next. Pop Pop's Dream in the orange colors outside of that pair. Then Miss Addie Prey and Derby Quest. Into the turn they go, and the lead still belongs to Aloha Kitten. She's Devoted comes right back, and She's Devoted's gray head is now in front. Gleska Gal, 3 wide in third. On the extreme outside, Pop's Dream trying to get into the race. In behind that comes Fearless Girl as the field turns for home. Several chances. On the outside, Gleska Gal's had a good trip. Coming up to She's Devoted. Aloha Kitten hasn't given up. Fearless Girl is outside of them. And Miss Costa Rica trying to thread through traffic late. Gleska Gal, She's Devoted, head and head for the wire. Fearless Girl on the outside, and Miss Costa Rica. Photo finish. Miss Costa Rica came surging and is in a tight one with She's Devoted. Sixth race starts to late pick 4. Post time in 22 minutes. They're in the gate. And they're off. Very even beginning. Sometimes Always is going straight to the front. He is joined early by Me Likey in second. Down at the rail, Musical Gem rushes right into contention, and Fury Cap on the outside. 4 of them vie for supremacy. Then it's El Durango, circle back toward the back of the field, and Sir Flatter outside of that pair. Into the far turn, Fury Cap takes the lead, quickly puts almost a length on Sometimes Always in second. Then Me Likey moving up in third. It's another 2.5 lengths back to the next flight, headed by Musical Gem inside El Durango, Sir Flatter, and circle back. They have a quarter of a mile to go. Fury Cap's in front. Me Likey on the outside, and at the rails, Sometimes Always not done. He's very game and fighting back. They're in the final furlong. Fury Cap, half-length lead. At the rails, Sometimes Always in very tight, just steadied slightly. 4 back to Me Likey in third. Coming to the 16th, and it's Fury Cap opening up late. And Fury Cap wins by a length and a half. Sometimes Always second. Then it was Me Likey third, Musical Gem, and Sir Flatter completes the super high 5. That's a triple for Flavien Prat. Movement from Distorted Queen, who's been a bit fractious the last couple of moments. Rider climbs off momentarily, gets back up, and they're off. Quick beginning for Phenom in the center of the course. On the outside, here's Sterling Crest moving clearly into second, and Carol Girl is a joint third as they pass the stands the first time. Distorted Queen is a bit headstrong in the early going. They're followed by a Solamia racing on the inside of Hemmerly, who's about 5 or 6 lengths off the pace as they round the first turn. It's another 2.5 lengths back. Down on the inside comes Rock the Bourbon, who is now about 12 lengths off the speed as they're starting to string out. Happy Happy just went by her. Sweet Talked is second to last, and Talented Lady at the back of a very strung out field that's covered by close to 20 lengths. Down the back stretch they go. Phenom in front. Sterling Crest a length and a half behind in second. That pair followed by Carol Girl in third, and down at the rail is Solamia. Hemmerly is fifth. The gray on the inside, 4.5 lengths off the lead. Sweet Talked is just outside of her, starting to make some headway now. It's another length back to Distorted Queen, who has lost a couple of spots. Rock the Bourbon inside of her. Then comes Happy Happy, and 3 back to Talented Lady. past the quarter pole and turning for home. Phenom, Sterling Crest, 1-2 throughout as Solamia nowhere to go. Steadying now, and on the outside comes Carol Girl. In the meantime, Sterling Crest opens up, and it's Sterling Crest by 2.5 close to the wire. Sterling Crest wins easily. Carol Girl completes the second Richard Baltus exact of the day. Then it was a Solamia in third. The minors among Sweet Talk, Hemmerly, and Phenom. They're in the gate, and they're off. Cover Me Up is the first one out of the gate. Got Thunder, Sense of Dominance to their outside. Then it's Noble Union. Kerouac is down at the rail, and Classic Mark at the back of the field. Into the first turn and Cover Me Up. Kerouac trying to slip through a narrow opening along the rail. And the heavy favorite Got Thunder is just a length off the lead in third. They're followed by Sense of Dominance fourth, 3 lengths off the lead. Noble Union and Classic Mark. Onto the backstretch, Kerouac is able to get the lead. And he has it by a half length. Cover Me Up is in second. It's now a gap of about 4 lengths to the group headed by Got Thunder, joined at the rail by Classic Mark, Sense of Dominance, one from the outside, Noble Union just outside of him. Kerouac leads by a head, with Cover Me Up keeping him company second. They're still pretty well clear of the rest. It's still 4 lengths back to Got Thunder, who is now called on and starting to come after the top pair. Sense of Dominance goes with him. A length back, Classic Mark loses some ground, and at the back of the field is Noble Union. Cover Me Up now opens up almost a length. Kerouac trying to fight back. The big favorite, Got Thunder, has a lot of work to do and is doing nothing at this stage. Turning for home. Cover Me Up is the leader. Kerouac fighting gamely. These two have dominated throughout. 6 back to Got Thunder in third. Past the 8th pole they go. Cover Me Up and Kerouac could go either way. Kerouac, Cover Me Up. Cover Me Up ahead in front. Cover Me Up and Diego Herrera edge away late. Cover Me Up wins it a length and a half. Kerouac second. Got Thunder started to rally late third. Then it was Classic Mark. In the 9th, the Sweet. They're in the gate. And they're off in the Sweet Life. She's So Shiny is very quick away from there. So is Baby Steps, who comes away in second. Half past 12 is moving through to take third as they run down the hill. And outside of them comes Urban, a close-up fourth. Kitty Katana is fifth. Down on the inside, Eureka is trying to get into contention, about 6 lengths off the early speed. I Got a Gal is next to her. Impeached Alexander is next. Then it's another 2 to the 2 trailers. Dolly Mae racing on the outside of Ella Mira. It's Baby Steps dueling with She's So Shiny. They're stride for stride as they head toward the quarter pole. 2.5 more. Half past 12, a joint third. Urban is very close in fourth. Only 2.5 lengths off the lead. They're followed by I Got a Gal. Outside of her comes Kitty Katana, who's very wide there at the top of the stretch. And it's She's So Shiny just in front. In the center, here comes Urban with a stellar rally. And Kitty Katana is motoring home on the far outside. Coming to the 16th, Urban, Kitty Katana, and Eureka has come through. Eureka on the inside, and Urban head and head for the wire. Here is the line. Eureka wins it ahead. Urban was second. Kitty Katana finished third. And then fourth was a photo that ended up going to Ella Mira in front of Baby Steps in the Sweet Life Stakes.
It's been a busy week for my seminar guest, but you know what? I wanted to make it busier. I put him to the task of handicapping today's card, and his insight and his his wisdom, I should say. Hopefully, you'll benefit from it. Hi, everybody. My name is Tom Quigley, and of course, I'm joined by my partner in crime, the track announcer here at the Great Race Place, Frank Mirahmadi. Miraman, welcome to the seminar.
Good thing you're tall. We could reach. You're getting me further and further away with this social distancing.
Well, I want you actually closer when it comes to your picks today. But let's first talk about your busy week. You had to do something more than just racetrack announcing. Of course, you were the voice of the Eclipse Awards on Thursday evening. What was that like?
It was a new and challenging task. I was the guy in the background.
Voice of God, I think is how Michelle you described you.
Yeah, I just need to focus on being a man of God to be a lot better. I'm certainly not the voice of God. You can rest assured. I can hear the voice of God many times.
Constantly.
Yes, and he's telling me to, straighten up and put the blinkers on. But it was a challenging, fun assignment. They called me and Keith Chamblin, who used to
be from the NTRA.
Yeah, I've known him forever. And so he called and asked me, and Amy Zimmerman, of course, producing the show, and GD Hieronymus as well, a guy from Keeneland who's been in their department for
hit that big pick six at Gulfstream Park on Breeders' Cup Day way back when.
I know. I thought I hit a big pick six. Yeah. That guy really knows what a big
knocked it out of the park.
Yes, he did. That was great. I saw the ticket, in fact, when I was in Lexington at his house, and GD is a super nice, great man. And anyhow, they asked me to do the voice thing. So I get a bunch of scripts, and when the people win, my job is to read the script and to introduce people, et cetera, and to follow along. And it's an interesting task because this is not a time to be making blunders and bloopers. I got the best compliment I could get from a couple of people. They asked me if I pre-recorded it. So that told me I did a good job, and I know they were happy with me. But the interesting part about that is in reading those scripts, you read until the people get to the stage. And when they get to the stage, it's time to abruptly cut it off. So obviously you get through the next sentence. But so that's the challenge, listening to, and there's a lot of noise in the background too. So you have to.
The pace of their walk obviously comes into play.
I'm not watching any of that.
You got to handicap the participants.
Exactly. And well, you got to handicap the producer because Amy will tell me when it's over. And so it was, as time went on, I certainly got more comfortable with it. But it was a fun assignment. It was fulfilling, and it was a great night. And I'm glad we were able to host the Eclipse Awards here, and to have these great moments celebrated at Santa Anita Park. I thought the attendance was great. Those events give you the chance to catch up with people that you may not see throughout the year, and got a chance to see some people. In fact, I was mingling a little bit too much beforehand. I showed up at my assignment, get to my post, and I'm like, all right, you need me for now? No. Well, then I'm just chit-chatting, having
a good time. You needed the blinkers on.
Yeah, the next thing you know, GD grabs my arm and goes, I need you. So I was a little bit unfocused there early, but we got the show off, and I thought the ladies did well. Your partner, Michelle, you did phenomenally well.
All four of them.
Oh, they were great. They were great. All four of them just really, and I was in that back area where they are, in between going up to the stage, and they were just so focused and prepared and memorizing their lines, and that stuff's not easy. Again, it's just live, and you don't want to blunder something, especially when you know what you should be saying, and they all just crushed it right out of the park. It was a great show, and I thought it went very well.
Like you said, it was an honor for the Great Race Place to host the Eclipse Awards, and it was a good gathering of people from all around the country. And you've been a man of travel. You've called it a lot of different racetracks. And like you said, it's only once a year when we kind of cross paths with some of these executives and people in the industry, breeders, owners, racing managers, what have you. But, it's good to kind of just reconnect with those people on such a special night.
I got to see Bo Hirsch. Bo Hirsch walked up when I was
so happy for him, by the way, with CC.
What a cool guy he is. And I asked him if he remembered when we met. He goes, what do you mean? I introduced myself to him. It was at Del Mar at the Pamplemousse many years ago. Before CC.
You must have had a sponsor.
Before
many years ago for dinner, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean,
that cheap. That place isn't cheap.
I'm not paying $700 to get out of a place. I don't even need any of that fancy food. So I mean, I think it's $50.
Put some bread in front of you, and you're good, right?
Yeah, bread, butter, little, a couple of carbs. We're good to go. Yeah. I don't think I've ever picked up a bill at the Pamplemousse, which is good news.
But Bo
can pick up everyone's bill. He's stacked to the moon. But the best part is CC. I got to tell him a great story about CC. That my good buddy was just absolutely hassling me all day when CC made her debut. This is
not Pick Six Paul. This is
okay. We don't talk about
other buddy. Okay.
Smoke show, this and that. She's this, she's that. Yeah. So I was telling that whole story to Bo, and he really loved that story because every time I see CC, I think of that story. But what a beautiful, she's a gorgeous mare, and she'll be able to produce some babies. And we had talks about, his old horses, Magical
His
Flash,
dad.
Magical Mile. Right. We were talking about the pedigree line, the whole thing. Pedigree is not only with his horses, it's with his family. So he's a class act, and he was happy. I thought he gave a great speech. There were a lot of really good speeches that were up there. And it was just a nice event. Look, that event is nice. And look, another thing, the in memoriam. I mean, those are a lot of people that suddenly
Tugs at your heartstrings, doesn't it?
And this year, like last year, was just a year where we lost. You just look at the list, and if you have 1 ounce of emotion in you feel it. There were a lot of significant losses for people related to the racing industry last year. So it's good to be on the right side of the soil.
Life is for the living, and we're going to certainly live over the next 30 minutes when we find out who Frank likes on today's 8-race card. But before we do any of that, we're going to keep Frank working. He's going to tell us who scratched early changes off today's program.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park. The track is fast, the turf is firm, the rail on the turf is at 10 feet. Here are the early changes. 8-race card today. The first starts the early pick 5, just the blinker note for number 5. In the second race, we have a blinker note, started the early pick 4. Rainbow 6 starts with race 3 this morning. Scratch number 5, She Said Yes. No high 5 wagering offered. The jackpot in the Rainbow 6, 546,000. Race 4, start of the late pick 5. No changes. No scratches or changes in the 5th, which kicks off the late pick 4. 6th race, scratch number 12, A Climb to Glory. Race 6, take out the also. 7 starts the golden hour pick 4, scratch 4, Gray Magician. 8th race, start of the $5 golden hour double, scratch number 11, Stage Ready. Those are the changes on today's card. Enjoy your day at the Great Race Place, and don't forget, we have drink specials, and you can watch the big game right here at Santa Anita Park. Post time for the first in 58 minutes. Let's go back to Quigley's Corner and your host, Tom Quigley.
You just saw this a statue of Seabiscuit wearing the Rams colors proudly. Of course, the big day today, big game Sunday here in Southern California. And it's kind of like Christmas or Thanksgiving or your birthday, Frank. You always remember special days. And I remember, many years ago when my dad and I would actually go to the Super Bowl. We'd travel around the country. That was kind of our one treat. And so we'd go to the Rose Bowl here with the Giants. If you remember, Mark Bavaro played in it, Phil Simms.
39-20 when they buried the Broncos.
We saw the Washington Redskins, of course, down in San Diego, I believe, also against the Broncos, ironically. But we did a lot of traveling, and it brings back a lot of good memories, right? Super Bowl Sunday. I think a lot of people have good memories. You must have some good memories, or maybe some bad memories of the Super Bowl. I don't know.
I have both. I have some great memories and some horrendous memories of Super Bowl Sunday.
What comes to mind?
Well, when I think about the Super Bowl, I actually looked yesterday, just trying to reflect on Super Bowls in general to just try to figure out. I figured you're going to ask me who I like in the game, so I'm going to look and see what my record was in picking the Super Bowl.
I would say the sign of a good handicapper is to know your wins and losses and your strengths and weaknesses, right? I'm referring to horse racing.
Well, and everything. And I think one of the things that I recognized clearly in looking through all the Super Bowls is how in these games over all the years since I was a kid, and the first one that I really remember strongly was, and it's frightening because I think I was 10. And I was a Dallas Cowboys fan as a young kid, and I was until they fired Tom Landry and we parted ways. That was it. They got rid of Tom Landry. They lost me. And in fact, I was at the Coliseum once. A friend of my dad's got me to the 50-yard line tickets as a kid. And it was based on me, like, changing my diet. Can you imagine, like, these things? Look, the message I always remember is if you have kids, you need to get on them early on and cut a lot of bad habits out.
So the 50-yard line seats didn't work.
We got blown out. Staubach threw 4 interceptions. I wore a blue shirt, and that was their unlucky blue back then, but it was an absolute beating by the Rams. And even a pick 6, I mean, I couldn't even believe what I was watching. I was horrified. I had $5 on the game, which was inappropriate too. So I lost $5, miserable day. And the Cowboys, of course, later on, that was the same year that later in the year, Hollywood Henderson was doing the slam dunk, and they beat him 28-0 when it really mattered. But anyhow, when I think about Super Bowls, I remember a game when I was 10. We lived in Westwood, and we had a really big house, and the bottom thing was like a game room with a pool table and this and that. And it's kind of scary that at that age, I was downstairs by myself watching the Super Bowl. And at halftime,
but to be fair, it wasn't as big of a spectacle as it is today. Even when my dad and I would go, there wasn't this clamoring of corporate America, the sponsorship,
$6 million commercials,
the 1 hour halftime show. It wasn't like that back then.
Right. But I mean, just still, I should probably be with some people watching a Super Bowl. But anyway,
10.
Right. But I remember at halftime, it was the Cowboys. They were blowing out the Broncos. But at halftime, I actually ordered a celebratory pizza from Pizza Man in Westwood at the time. Pizza Man, he delivers. There was one in Beverly Hills on Doheny that's now a Domino's. From when I was a kid, I used to order from them too, and it was all right in that day. But it just makes me laugh to think about ordering a celebration pizza. And
remember those days?
A half-ear corn. I remember exactly the order. A lot of carbs at that age, so I'm not surprised I'm a big boy today.
You gave a big speech last Super Bowl about Tom Brady this and Tom Brady that.
Well, here's the thing.
He fought the law and he won, and then look what happened.
Ty Law won, right.
And look what happened last Super Bowl.
Right. Jogged home. So I looked at Super Bowls over the years, like certainly like a devastating. I was like the only guy in North America who had the Cowboys plus 3.5 in that horrifying loss with Jackie Smith dropping the touchdown against the Steelers. I never liked the Steelers. That's probably my least favorite team of all time in any sport. Didn't like the Raiders because they were my brother's favorite team. And I certainly was never a New England Patriot guy. So as you can see, but a lot of my picks over the years have been based really on emotion and in betting of any kind. It's easier said than done, but it's very important to remove the emotion.
We do it as horse players. A horse creates a big score for us, or we have a big win bet. Of course, we're going to migrate back to the horse the next time, even though from a handicapping standpoint, that horse might not have as good of a chance to win as he did the previous effort.
Correct.
It's human nature.
When the Giants beat the Patriots, I didn't have $1 on that game. When they stopped that whole perfect season, I was the happiest. I enjoyed that game so much. I think when I looked at the thing, I've always been an NFC man, just in almost every game.
It's like baseball.
Maybe with the exception of when Peyton Manning was, on the Colts. But that was about it. Other than that, I've pretty much been in it. But the teams that I don't like have won a lot of Super Bowls. So needless to say, I've been on the wrong. I would say like the worst Super Bowl had to be that the Super Bowl with the Seahawks with that ridiculous pass. I was in
at the end of the game.
Yeah. A friend of mine, I'm gonna have to call him an associate based on some of his behavior instead of a good friend, but he had a great line. Whenever he would lose, he would say he was mummified, which is just such a great visual when you get crushed. But I was sitting in a state of shock. It was quite a substantial wager on the Seahawks, watching Pete Carroll hand the ball, instead of handing the ball off. And
Marshawn Lynch, who is pretty good.
Mr. Skittles.
Yeah.
I'm convinced to this day that happened because he didn't want him to get the MVP, and he wanted to get, how do you throw a pass from there when you got that guy? You just keep giving it to him, and if you don't get in, you deserve to lose. But anyway, that was not a fun moment. I can promise you that. And I guess my favorite moment was when the Eagles took out the Patriots. That was fantastic. That was very good for me in many ways because I had the reverse laying points on the reverse line. But
I told you, 11 is always greater than 10. That's the beauty of horse racing, right? It's like betting 4 to 5 and being tortured for 2 hours, sweating it out. Horse racing is way better of a bet.
There's no question. And bookmakers love football season because, I mean, it's
today's their Christmas.
Yeah, but I mean, this whole season has been, I mean, this has been the happy holidays. Forget about the 12 days of Christmas. Are you kidding me? That thing has been the months of Christmas.
5 months of Christmas.
Very difficult. Mattress Max got 9.5 million on the Bengals as part of a
largest wager ever placed legally through Caesars was the $5 million wager. You said in total it's 9 million, but can you imagine?
I mean, that's called punching power. You want to, you really think about the bets we've made in our time.
Yeah.
That's like, man, seriously sending it in. But it's part of a football promotion. And as a result of that, I'll refrain from handicapping the game because I don't want to say anything that could affect the great Run Happy and his connections. But I will say this. I think there's a prop bet that is a great. There are 2 prop bets I think are good.
And let me just interject for a moment. Sure. Obviously,
it's illegal in the state.
No, of course. No, I'm not going to go into any sort of legalese stuff. But I mean, there's a million ways to now play the Super Bowl. That also didn't exist in the past. It was just side and total. Yeah. Now I think there's 2,000 prop bets.
Did you have the refrigerator on the prop bet?
I was actually at that game, believe it or not.
Wow, what a great moment.
I was a Bears season ticket holder.
Oh, wow. Did you get it through that deal?
I did. I did.
They do like a lottery, right?
Correct. And the funny thing is, I'm going to show my age. So sitting next to me was the radio broadcaster for the Chicago Bears, Mike Pyle. He used to be the center for the Chicago Bears.
Nice.
Now, he's a former player. I'm a season ticket holder. I kid you not, the game was at the Superdome. I was 2 rows from the top of the Superdome. That's where they placed the season ticket holders.
Oh, wow.
Way back then.
Nosebleed.
But it was a great game, of course, obviously.
Wow,
and the fridge, that's where the props came into existence. And Art Manteris, our good friend in Las Vegas, created that wager. And, of course, the bettors took advantage of it. And I think Mike Ditka actually.
That's fantastic. I love that Mike Ditka was in on that. But you know what? Good for him.
So what's your, real quickly, because we got to talk 8 races in 20 minutes. What's your favorite prop bet?
There are 2 props. I would definitely take the under on Joe Burrow. I think it's 11 yards rushing because I think he'll get sacked at least 5 times. So he's going to be falling behind on that deal. But the best one to me is over 2.5 people attempting a pass. It seems like every Super Bowl, there's some flea.
Of course.
Throw to the running back.
End around and then
or if some guy gets out from it. There's so many situations where another pass. I would say over 2.5 attempted passers during the game. And believe me, always wager responsibly. And if you took my advice betting sports throughout your life, you're stuck like Chuck.
We're looking for more than 2.5 winners from you on today's 8-race card.
We're going to get them.
So let's take a look at race number 1. We kick things off. Race number 1 is a split of race 3. Same conditions. We're sprinting 5.5 furlongs in the main track for fillies and mares, non-winners of 2 races lifetime. $16,000 is the claiming tag. And of course, race 1 begins the popular 50-cent early pick 5. A field of 5 and the morning line favorite is number 3, Season to Remember, at 8 to 5 on the morning line. But the one taking the action is on the bottom. Blinkers on for Keep Your Coil. Now even money on the tote board. What do you think about race 1, Frank?
I went back and forth here, but I ended up actually picking the 5, Keep Your Coil, putting the blinkers on. Season to Remember certainly ran well in defeat last time out. She put away a 2 to 5 favorite, Scream and Shout. And the winner that day, Happy Trails, who has come back to win again, was traveling well throughout, and this filly didn't quit in running second. So I think she's going to come way down from that 3 to 1 she is currently. But I just thought that Keep Your Coil, going back to the main track, turf to dirt angle, she's been facing better, drawn on the outside. I just think that she's a little bit classier. And if you look at Season to Remember, she was taken for 62.50. So I think the class issue is the one to worry about with Season to Remember. The 2 Supersonic Flyer took forever to graduate, but she has been pretty honest and consistent throughout her career. There were 2 next out winners out of that race. but I like the bottom horse.
5 and 2 in race number 1. So says track announcer Frank Mirahmadi. Let's turn the page. Take a look at race number 2. Begins the 50-cent early pick 4. We're on the turf course. 6 furlongs is the distance. Calbred 3-year-old fillies. The rails today are at 10 feet. Field of 8, morning line favorite number 3. She's Bulletproof, who was very impressive, breaking her maiden from the rail. 8-5 now on the morning line, ridden by Flavian Pratt. What are your thoughts on race 2?
I mean, to me, I don't even want to put a second choice in. She looks like the standout and by far my best bet of the day. 65 buyer number. I don't know how buyer numbers are computed. That looked like better than 65 to me live.
Always trust your eyes, right?
That was a great ride from John Velasquez. We talked about that, or maybe I did on the radio show with Mike Willman. He was very patient with her. She broke from the rail. She was in mid-pack. He kind of nudged her out, and she won going away. That was a beautiful ride. She gets Pratt today, who basically gives you a perfect ride pretty much 95% of the time. We're all human. He has some that aren't perfect, but he's he's a future Hall of Fame.
He's as close to a machine as you can be.
That guy's amazing.
Being automatic.
Always in the right place. And it's just, and he's tough to pass too. He's a tremendous jockey, great athlete. I saw him at the Eclipse Awards. Then I said, I'm sorry you didn't win, but you're a legend. Don't worry about a thing.
Joel Rosario gave a great speech in accepting his award for Jockey of the Year, and of course Jessica Pfeiffer for the Apprenticeship of the Year. You talked about all the great speeches. Of course, Justin Mastari, the Horse Player of the Year. I mean, it tugs at your strings if you win an Eclipse Award. It's a big deal.
Well, and of course Jessica Pfeiffer's stepdad is Phil D'Amato, and Phil, of course, hails from the Mike Mitchell greatness, and Phil. Like Mike would be so proud because he has basically carried on the tradition of absolute excellence in horsemanship and also in personality and class and demeanor. And I told Jessica that I met her right during that whole pandemic, and she came up to me and put her hand out, and I told her the other night, I said, I want you to know.
No offense.
I shook her hand.
Oh, okay.
That was the only hand I shook for about a year and a half. I try to avoid all handshakes.
Even before the pandemic.
Correct. For good reason, and it was proven during the pandemic. She's bulletproof. All 4 siblings are 6-figure earners, including Bulletproof 1. I will say that it's always dangerous to take winners, maiden breakers facing winners. She looks like a complete standout. The 8-horse Carmen Miranda is my second pick here. Out of a Tribal Rule mare, we lost Tribal Rule early in his breeding career, and he was a brilliant horse, lightly raced, but his turf influence is really what the California bred program has lost, because if you look at all his progeny, and I don't have stats or anything like that, but over the years, Tribal Rules have been very good on the turf. Whenever there's a little bit of a Tribal Rule influence, I'll give them an extra bit of consideration on the grass. One other thing I want to tell you, your guest yesterday was absolutely
David Nance.
I don't know how his picks went, but his handicapping, I just really enjoyed
his presentation.
Fantastic. He does his work. He's fun to listen to. Old school. He was making me laugh in a way where he wasn't trying to be a comedian. I thought that guy was awesome.
You're making us laugh. And one handicapping note on your second selection, number 8, Carmen Miranda. Not only does she have Lasix today, but if you take a close look at her running lines last time out when she broke from the rail, she was running against the boys that day. Now she goes first-time turf. And certainly the outside post sprinting on the turf course here at San Anita have been the place to be. Race number 3 begins the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6. The jackpot single ticket carryover now up to a lucrative and enticing $546,000. That money will be yours, plus whatever is wagered today if you're the only winning ticket in the Rainbow Pick 6 sequence. And we kick things off going 5.5 furlongs for fillies and mares, downwards of 2 races. Lifetime $16,000 claiming tag. Of course, it's a split of race number 1. Scratch the 5. She said yes. Leaves us with a field of 5. The morning line favorite number 2, Lunatic. I think that word's been used to describe both you and I by other people on occasion.
There's no question. And you're a lunatic if you throw this horse out in race 3. Claimed by Bob Hess Jr. Bob Hess Jr. is doing great nationwide. It's weird because he just must have so many starters that his stats don't indicate that a higher percentage, because he wins races everywhere. And he won with a comebacker yesterday at Golden Gate Fields, wins at Gulfstream frequently. Just a terrific horseman is Bob. Claims this one, a little bit of a freshening. 4 horses came back to run out of that race. 2 of them won, including Untouched Elegance, who came back to win a 20 claimer here in January. The 4th place finisher came back and won a low-level race at Los Al. I put the 1 Philly Licious second. 2-1 Blackjack in race 3.
Here's a stat courtesy of Brad Free at the Racing Form. He does such a good job, and we're full of statistics today. According to Brad Free, the Bob Hess barn has won with 5 of their last 7 first off the claim favorites. Of course, Lunatic fits that category today. Expect her to fire big. Race number 4 begins the 50-cent late pick 5. Fillies and Mares once again going a mile and an eighth on the turf course. This is a starter allowance race. It's a good field of 9. The morning line favorite number 7, Bye Bye Birdie, who's been on a bit of a win streak, is the 5-2 morning line favorite. Give us your thoughts on race 4.
You know, she was a little uncomfortable in her win last time out early, and Victor took her to the outside, and she was full of run. And so, you know, the first thing I do when I'm handicapping and you look at a race like this, I want to try to find some sort of level of vulnerability or a reason to change the result, or maybe she's facing a little bit tougher. But she won loaded and very wide, and so I got to come right back to her. She's in good form right now. Leonard Powell has her clicking on all cylinders. I think he must have won the stake right before then as well, right before that, so it was a good day for him there. I just think that, you know, I was trying to look at some of these others in here. And for example, the 6, Chasing Serendipity, she ran well in defeat last time, but Dramatizer came back yesterday and was nowhere, albeit against tougher. The 3, Tournesol, is an interesting horse for Richard Baltus. I thought about possibly putting her on top, coming off a very long layoff, barn switch, et cetera, et cetera. Baltus can win with these kind of angles and has done so this meet. She's a question mark. You got to look at her on the track, which is what I like to do before making any decisions. But she could be interesting. And Baltus firing on all cylinders. Yesterday, he won 2 races and finished second in both of those. Won another race, so he had a training triple on the day. A guy that you got to, you know, look, when you're hot, you're hot. And he's usually pretty solid anyway. This horse, watch her in the post parade, see if she makes sense.
Let's spend a minute, Frank. You talked about watching her in the post parade, and I know you do that. Of course, you know I do that in the paddock as well. For you, what are some of the things you're looking at that you can pass along to the fans?
I'll tell you, I mean, you know, not to pat myself on the back, but I really think this is, I'm very good at this. For a guy who doesn't even know if a horse is lame walking by me or off on the right front, there's just this look about them. And it's just like, I try to tell people, you need not be, you know, a horse specialist or a horse, like, these are animals. They're on, it's game day. And I just think I look for a presence about them.
They exude confidence.
You could just tell. I mean, there was a race yesterday at Gulfstream. I was just sitting on my couch in the booth, and I saw it was the 6 horse just tippy-toeing, and I looked at her at 4-1, and I said, wow, she looks unbelievable. And the next thing you know, she drew off. Now, granted, that's just one race. Who cares? But I'm just saying things like that. I look back at it, you know, I look back at it afterward, and it was a horse that made some sense. There are horses that just look unbelievable on the track. You know, there was one yesterday at New York that looked the same way. It was the Gary Barber horse, opened up 6 lengths in the stretch and got run over with some questionable tactics in that particular heat. But nevertheless, I think that I'm pretty good at spotting horses who will fire. Now, where you'll get someone like Millie, who will absolutely trump all my ability, is her ability to see horses.
She did it on Friday.
She does it all
extension blinker.
She does it all the time, but
right like, to the winner's circle.
There was one like a week ago, and I complimented her about it because I was looking at that horse as she was talking about it, and I'm like, that horse is pretty sweaty. And here's the thing: horses sweat, and this is one area that I think I could use help with, because the sweat, you can't, you know, like sometimes if they're really a wreck, it's one thing. In fact, there was a wreck yesterday on the track at Oaklawn in the last race. I've got channel 29 on, so it's got all the races on there. But that horse was like even money, and I'm like, that horse isn't winning. You know what I mean? I could just see that. I'm like, that horse isn't winning. It was even money.
Right.
And the horse who won was a first-time starter who's a monster called We the People for Windstar. But like, there are certain things you can just toss right out when you see the horse on the track. But someone like Millie or Zoe or Michelle, who are close to horses, they may be able to see through some of the sweating. And I think that's where it's great that we have that team out on the track paying attention to what's going on.
And I consider, Frank, visual handicapping one of the last frontiers of handicapping, because everybody's got their head buried in the racing form. And you made a good point. These horses are athletes. You have to look at them and evaluate them just like a baseball scout would or a basketball scout. It doesn't mean you're automatically going to fall onto a winner, but it might eliminate some horses that you can automatically toss just from a visual standpoint.
I mean, I look at myself. If I'm sweating before like a game, I bet I'm probably going to get blown right out of the building.
You sweat every appearance. I mean, it's expected.
A lot of dripping.
Race number 5 begins the 50-cent late pick 4, 6.5 furlongs of the main track for 3-year-old fillies. Starter optional claiming types. A field of 5 morning line favorite number 4, Head Start from the Richie Baltus barn. 6-5 on the morning line, ridden by Diego Herrera. Before we get your selection, Diego improving every day, every race, which you expect from an apprentice, and he's got a good agent in Derek Lawson.
Yeah, I haven't met him, but he's doing great. I'm enjoying watching him ride, and he goes to low set. Like, I love people that work hard. You know, I'm a hard worker myself, and I like to see when people, you know, show up and give every effort. Correct. You know, Chris Griffin, who's now becoming a very successful track announcer, you know, he had the willingness many years ago when I worked at Santa Rosa to leave at 3 a.m. with his dad and drive many hours, close to 7 hours up there just to do a seminar that wasn't even on TV. He showed determination. And when I had an opportunity to help him and I told him I would, he ended up getting into the fairs, and look where he's become now. He's filling in New York. He's calling it part.
Doing a great job.
You get, you know, you reap what you sow in this world. And so, you know, you got to work hard, and Diego is doing a great job. He rides hard. He's aggressive. I like that. You know, speed riders that are strangling horses is not something I'm a fan of. I say use the weapon. Usually apprentices will use that weapon, but he's using it and succeeding with it. You
like him in this race?
You know what? I don't know why I don't, and I'm not quite sure why I don't, because she jogged. She was full of run, and I watched it again just to make sure, like, did I miss something? And I like the comment here from our chart callers who don't mess around. Powered away. She did. But I don't know why. I just don't. I'm wondering, like, Baltus was training for Little Red Feather, then he wasn't. Maybe they're back, you know, reunited, and it feels so good. I don't know why, but for some reason, I'm going to try to beat her with the one Coruscation. You mentioned earlier about a horse who had tried the boys last time out. Coruscation didn't run a jump last time, and I watched that race. It's almost like they conceded defeat, knowing they had no shot. Hashtag no shot in that race.
She looked good in the paddock, by the way. I tweeted her that day. I remember she was drawn on the outside, and she was running against the boys, but she never picked up her feet. I'm willing to draw a line through that. I talk a lot about that on the seminar. I'm willing to excuse one bad performance because anything could happen. We don't know.
The blinkers are on now, and Pratt stays aboard. Pratt rode both of these last time, and I don't know how much he rides for Baltus, but nevertheless, I was wondering about this. I didn't phone a friend to try to figure out how this happened, why it happened. It's an interesting situation here between the 1 and the 4, but I went 1-2. I don't know why I'm not with Head Start, because she did blitz that field, but it's the first start against winners. And look, Coruscation now has that experience, gets the blinkers, gets the rail, and did win first time out, which is showing some talent. This is a tough call. I wouldn't say throw the 4 out, but I went 1-2. By the way, before we kick on, and I know we're running out of time, but I did want to say the biggest Ram fan I know is a man named Jay Richards, who a lot of people here know from his days at Horse and Jockey. And I did want to just say to the fans out there, Jay is going through some health stuff and some real tough times. And Jay is a very religious guy, and he has become a very close friend of mine over the years. And it happened. He reached out to me when I was on TVG, like the second time I was on TVG, and we have become very tight, and he's going through a tough time. So if you have a good thought or a good prayer for Jay Richards, just a super nice, genuine man. Talk about a guy who completely changed his life, and he did, and it's legitimate. Keep him in your thoughts and lift him up a little bit. Jay going through a real tough moment.
Jay loves the sport, and we send some love to Jay as well. We also love race number 6 because it's a big field of 11. Scratch the 12, the also eligible, leaves us, like I said, with a field of 11. 1 mile on the turf course for maiden special weight 3-year-olds. The favorite down on the rail, number 1, War at Sea, but a lukewarm 7-2 morning line favorite, indicating that perhaps this is an open race. What say you?
It is. I think it's a race you have to spread, and I marked 4 horses, and you could probably go 5 or 6 deep in your multi-race wagers. I'm going to take a big long shot in here and put it right on top, and that is the number 9 Lil Bro Coop.
20-1
morning line, and rightfully so. This horse got drilled in his debut, but he takes the blinkers off, gets Lasix today. The 2nd and 4th place finishers out of that race came back to win their next start. But the most important reason is the family, 1 fast bro, 1 fast broad. There are winners in this family. Those winners are routers on the grass. The horse showed some life early before fading in the stretch. I just think at the price, like, do I think this is the most likely winner? Of course not. But at 20-1, I think it's worth a shot here on number 9, Lil Bro Coop. For second, I went to the 7, Sweet Savant, who came flying through on the inside when a race fell apart late. I don't love the 7, but I think the 7 has to be used. I also would use the 1, War at Sea, and the 4, Explain This Audit. Really, I feel bad not showing that race. This horse lost the irons and came like a freight train in the late stages there. I would use the 1, 4, 7, and 9. And if you're spreading deeper, if Pratt's getting on a first, or maybe the 10 too, spread that race, maybe get lucky.
Race number 7 because the $1 Golden Hour Pick 4, both yesterday and on Friday, the Golden Hour Pick 4 paid just shy of $1,000. It links our last 2 races with the last 2 races at Golden Gate. It always pays well. I expect it to pay well again today, and we kick it off in race number 7, going 1 mile on the main track for $25,000 claimer. Scratch the 4, leaves us with a field of 5. The morning line favorite down on the rail from the Mike Pipey barn, who has live runners in both legs of the Golden Hour Pick 4 is number 1, Unbroken Star, 9-5 on the morning line. What say you about race 7?
I'm not a fan of Unbroken Star. I would draw a line right through him. That's my anti-favorite play of the day. Beware, you should probably use him on that note. But
some listening might single.
They might single. But this horse got run over by Big Buzz, who was 6 wide around the track, had no reason to get beat in that race. He was 10 clear of the rest, but I think he's vulnerable as it gets. I like the 3 Secret Touch quite a bit in this spot to bounce back off a dismal performance. But look, this is a horse who's forwardly placed usually was wide, and American Theorem's a classy horse who would beat this field by 15 lengths. So I'd put him on top, 3-5.
Race number 8, we close out the day going 1 mile and an eighth on the turf course. It's called the Super Bowl Starter, of course, in honor of the big game, and it's a good field of 10 after the scratch of number 11. Also, it offers $5 Golden Hour daily double wagering. Post time 2:43. Kickoff for the big game is at 3:30. Plenty of time to get involved both at the races and then go enjoy the game. Morning line favorite in this nightcap, number 7, Keystone Field, 5-2 on the morning line, fresh off a victory from an outside post. Give us a winner before the big game.
I'm not going with him. I'm going with the rail here. Right after you throw out Mike Pipey in the 7th, don't worry about a thing. He'll get you home in the 8th. Irish Heatwave. This horse was traveling well throughout. Ended up being caught late by Liberal. I think he turns the tables on him in this spot, going 1 mile and an eighth. He's honest. He's consistent. He ran very well last time out, and I think Reese Bully closes it out to win the finale.
We're always a winner whenever we have you as a seminar guest, Frank. You do a great job. It's an honor to have you here representing San Anita. And, of course, keep up the good work. And best of luck on all your selections today, both equine and football.
Let's get it home, and best of luck today. And may your team win, whoever they are. And let's have a good day at the races. Pick some winners, folks.
Enjoy Big Game Sunday, both here at the Great Race Place as well as at SoFi Stadium. Have fun, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem.